All right, the JAC T9. Where do I even begin? Let's start with the design. I think it looks pretty good. I do believe it copies some elements from other utes, such as the little side vents there. They're even similar to the cannon, the GWM cannon. The front end, I think, does borrow from Mitsubishi's Triton dynamic shield a little bit. And yeah, other than that, it does look pretty good. They all copy each other these days. They're all trying to look macho. They're all trying to look tough. So they, borrow other elements like the wheel arch extensions and so on. It's not really a criticism. Everyone's got a different opinion when it comes to designs, like what's your favorite color. I think it looks pretty good. Like, it fits in with the market. It doesn't have too many awkward angles either. The rear tray actually looks a little bit short and stubby, if anything, in a kind of fun way, I guess. And then around the back, yeah, just vertical tail lights and big JAC imprinted into the tailgate. Just while we're back here, it doesn't have a damped tailgate, so it just slams down, which, most of the modern utes have put dampers on the tailgate now. It does have the hooks up above. Like a lot of the rivals, as I've said before, I'd rather hooks down low, just to make it easier. The tub does look a little bit small, and you can see the wheel arches there. They're quite further back compared with some utes. But overall, it's a decent sized space. It is got that spray-in bed liner as well, and you've got the sports bar, which you can't use for heavy loads. It's more of a styling thing. But yeah, you could tie some lighter weight items to it. Now, this is based on a platform or chassis that's been around for maybe 8 or 9 years or something like that, with the old T8, which we didn't get in Australia. This is the first JAC or JAC that we've got in Australia. So in that regard, it is a little bit old. You could say that about some rivals as well. They're using a similar chassis as previous generation models. It does have some intricate details in the design. I've just noticed these fake recovery points. They're not actually hooks, they just look like it. And again, I think that's borrowing from other utes in this class. But again, they're all trying to be adventurous. So I get that JAC might not have specifically copied someone else. It's just trying to look adventurous and yeah, like it can go anywhere. But I don't know, I'd rather have actual hooks than fake hooks. In terms of the wheels, we've got 18-inch alloys, 265/60 Gitti highway terrain tyres. So these are not off-road tyres. Some rivals come with highway terrains as well, like the Isuzu D-Max, or at least the upper spec models. We'll go off-road and attack the hill climb to see how these tyres shape up. It hasn't been raining for a little bit, so it should be nice and dry. It'll be just down to that drive system and the suspension flex. Speaking of which, the clearances and everything are pretty good. 27-degree approach angle, that's not bad for this class. Some of them offer around 30 degrees, but the ground clearance of 210 millimeters is not the greatest. Most of them are about 220 at least, or probably a good average is about 240. Some of them offer more, the more off-road focused variants. So 210 is not the best, but as I said, it's not the biggest ute out there, so that should work in its favor, climbing over mounds and so on. Then under the bonnet, we've got a 2-litre turbo diesel 4-cylinder engine, 120 kilowatts and 410 Newton meters, matched to an 8-speed automatic with selectable 2-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive and 4-wheel drive. It's not the most powerful motor out there, but fuel consumption is not bad, 7.6 litres per 100 kilometres, CO2 output 202 grams per kilometre, which is quite good for this class. I think it's among the lowest, but it is a small capacity engine. The Ford Ranger with the 2-litre biturbo is 189 or something, I'm pretty sure, under 200. So there are some fleet and company car divisions or setups that require under 200. So this being 202, you should be able to get through okay. Inside, we've got a surprisingly nice cabin actually. It's pretty refined. For example, it does have the fake stitching across the top, but this is all sort of a rubbery finish and it just adds to the refinement. You've got a little fake leather section there as well, some metallic trimmings on the dash. It is actually quite refined. It doesn't sound tinny or hollow when you're driving along or echoey. It just is at least at the class average or even slightly above for cabin acoustics and material finishes. Like a lot of the rivals have full plastic dashboards, which are, or they could be more durable in the long run. You know, if you're using this as a workhorse and you're getting, you know, muddy boots and whatever sliding through here, then just hard plastic is the best solution. But I think that will age pretty good. Like it's still firm and, you know, tightly made, but it's just got a soft finish, so it just is less echoey. All of the door trim is hard plastic, and then you've just got this vinyl stuff for the armrest. We've got a mostly digital instrument cluster. You can't change it around too much. You've got this little button on the steering wheel, and you can just go through the left-hand side there, the trip information. I'm averaging 9.9. I've already done performance testing. I saw it sit at around 9.1, which is not bad. Most rivals are using about 8 to 10, depending on what size engine it is. I know the D-Max is probably one of the best for its engine size, and the Triton, the new Triton, is good as well. You get definitely 8s in that. So 9.1, if I was going to say an average for this for the whole time I've had the car, 9.1 is about average. Like, it's not bad, but it's just not at the best, which is fair enough. This engine is not that advanced, it's not very powerful, and it's pretty small capacity. And here we've got a big touch screen, which is going to appeal to those who like this modern technology and so on. I just don't like some of the menus and button operation. Like, I've got songs going here, but if I'm driving along and I want to open it up to a bigger screen so I can actually hit skip track, you've got these little buttons to push, and when you're driving along and your arm's moving around, it's actually really hard to select that. Even the radio and all that, it's pretty small. Then your main menu options down here. Vehicle setting, this will be a page you'll get very familiar with. Your driving assistance systems, driver monitoring camera, you can turn off there. I've got tape over it, as I usually have. In this, it's terrible, like it is in most new vehicles that have driver monitoring cameras. It's just such a terrible technology, in my opinion. I get its intentions, but in the real world, it's just annoying. So I turn it off every time I drive the vehicle. And then you've got lane keep assist, which I've got off as well. In this, we'll go for a drive in a minute and I'll show you, but the lane keep assist can be pretty abrupt. It'll yank the steering wheel to try and align you, whereas more refined vehicles, just do it a bit more gradually, so they'll gently pull the steering wheel across rather than yank it. Then you've got over speed warning as well, which is pretty annoying. As soon as you go over the speed limit a little bit, it starts sending off alarm bells. Again, this is not really a criticism towards JAC. It's more about the latest technology thresholds that they require. Lane keep assist, you can turn that off as well. You've got a confirm button. So you have to do all this every time you start the vehicle as part of the regulations. But the technology here is not the most refined, as I'll show you in a second. You do have a home button down here, which is good. So you can just jump straight back to this screen. But I have found that, sometimes you've got, what do? You hit the climate or something. Where was it? You get the climate up and then you're just not really sure how to get back to the other screen. You've got this little arrow there, you can go back, and it's just, you can't actually swipe it down. You've got to hit that little arrow, and again, it's just a little arrow. When you're driving along and you're trying to hit something really small, it just can be a little bit annoying. It does disappear after a while as well, as you just saw. You do have a wireless charger down there. And then some physical controls for some of the drive systems. You've got a rear diff lock. Your drive mode switch over here, you do have a sport mode, which I find a little bit useless. Unless you're towing, actually, it's good to keep the revs up, or on snow, sand. Then in your drive mode, 2H, 4H, and 4L. Cup holders, nice armrest, decent sized box under there as well. In the back, again, surprisingly luxurious and refined for a cheaper ute. You do have these little pockets in the back. I'll just leave that door open a bit, get a bit of light in. But you've got these pockets in the back, which are handy, and it's on both sides. Some of them only have it on one side than your usual pockets. You've got climate vents down below and multiple different charging options or ports. You have a flip down armrest, dual cup holders, and even the seat trim, you can see that it kind of looks quite nice, and it is pretty comfortable. The seat cushion is pretty comfortable. it's slightly reclined, so I've got decent head clearance. My head gets pretty close to that pillar as I'm getting in, and I'm only 170 centimeters, so if you're really tall, I think you'd bang your head on that, or you'd have to get used to ducking down. But all in all, I think it's, yeah, about average. It does feel a little bit short, actually. Like, this window just seems a bit short. I can see over it really easily. But yeah, I think the cabin might be pushed a bit, like squashed up a little bit. It just needs to be, yeah, extended out more just to give it a better perception of space. But as I said, this is kind of what feels like a smaller ute in this class. Not by much, but just, yeah, you can kind of notice it when you're sitting in the back. But yeah, I think the main thing that you've got to keep in mind with this is the price. This is one of the cheapest dual cab 4x4 utes on sale in Australia. And if you're going to get annoyed by me saying cheap instead of affordable, just look up in a dictionary. It basically means the same thing. And I think cheap is attractive. That's an attractive trait in this day and age where, you know, even slices of cheese are like $14 or something ridiculous. So having something cheap doesn't necessarily mean straight away negative. It just means low cost. And this is low cost. This starts from around $45,000 excluding on roads, but JAC or JAC has a promotion going at the moment. You can get the T9 from $39,990 drive away, making it, I think, the cheapest or the most affordable dual cab 4x4 ute currently on sale. The SsangYong Musso is about $40,000 exactly. So I know it's only $10, but I think this is the cheapest at the moment. All right, let's go for a drive and see how it handles, see how that engine is, and then hit the off-road hill climb, see how it goes off-road, and then we'll do the performance test. To start with, I'll just leave the lane keep assist and all of that turned on just to demonstrate how that works. One of the first things you'll notice is this engine is fairly noisy compared with most of its rivals, and it is a pretty old engine. It's not a modern unit, as I said. You can tell that by the power outputs compared with its rivals. It is only a 2 litre though, so small pistons, it should mean quieter, but it's actually rattly and, you know, really clatters about like a diesel from 10 or 15 years ago. It doesn't really detract from the, you know, driving experience, I guess. It's just louder than the rivals. But again, it comes back to that price. You know, how much can this get away with by being so cheap? This is around $20,000 or $30,000 less than many of its rivals. There we go, the warning, the lane keep assist warning. I just touched the line. It didn't actually flick the steering wheel, which is good. Yeah, this is $20,000 or $30,000 less than many of its rivals. So there are going to be some sacrifices, but yeah, how much can this get away with? I reckon the engine is fine. It's yeah, I wouldn't expect any better for something that is at the lower price point of this class. The engine pickup though is actually pretty good. It's got decent low-end torque. I think peak torque is available from just 1500 RPM. So you've got all of that 410 Newton meters available pretty much straight away. But there is a noticeable delay getting off the line. So if you're coming out of a tricky side street, which I was doing this morning, I put my foot down and it just didn't go anywhere. So I'll just give you a demonstration of that. Complete stop, and I'll just give it full throttle. Ready? And then it picks up. Like, that was a good almost 2 seconds there before it actually started moving with some decent shove, or what shove it can provide anyway. So if they remove that, I think it would actually be even more acceptable, I guess. I think it's acceptable, just that delay off the line. And once you're running, it actually feels surprisingly zippy. Like, it seems free revving, the engine, and it's happy to get you going again once you're up and running. In terms of the handling, it's got what, you know, I don't usually see in this class is engagement. Like, it feels very mechanical, and I don't mean engagement as in, you know, crazy awesome handling. I mean just feel coming through the steering wheel. Like, I fully understand what the tires and everything are doing, and you don't usually get that in this class. Is that because it's raw and a bit rudimentary in terms of the chassis and steering setup? Probably, but I don't mind it actually. I've got a nice feel, and it feels, I mean, and it just helps when you're driving along a winding road like this for a long time. The front suspension does seem a little bit soft. It's comfortable around town and everything, but out on a country road like this, it's got a bit of that sort of, you know, bouncing going on. It's a little bit underdamped, I suppose, in that regard. The spring rate is not too bad. Like, it's comfortable. It's not jolting me around, but then it doesn't slow down that wheel movement quick enough. It needs to respond a bit faster. The rear end is also pretty firm, even for this class, but I think it's okay if it's able to, you know, carry and tow things. Yeah, speaking of which, the towing capacity, brake towing capacity is 3.2 tons, which is a little bit down on the rivals, but you do have a decent GVM and GCM for this vehicle's curb weight of 2,055 kilograms and for that 3.2 ton towing rating. So when you hook up a full 3.2 ton trailer, you've got a decent amount of payload left over, including for the GCM and GVM, compared with its rivals. But you've just got to keep in mind, this is only towing 3.2. It's not able to tow 3.5. I think some of the media out there have already sampled this in pre-production form, so there might have been some changes. I think this is the latest setup, and it's a factory, you know, what a customer would receive. So there might be some tuning and tweaking to the suspension systems and to the safety systems, but that lane keep assist hasn't gone off yet. It's kind of pulling me a little bit, but I mean, we're on a straight road, so it doesn't have to do anything. But I'll just go over the line. It hasn't actually responded, and it's just allowed me to go over the other side of the road. So as you can see, it's not completely reliable. I guess the main questions are, you know, is JAC reliable? Do they have network support? And are they going to be around for the long run? Well, JAC has said that it is planning to stay here for the long run. Of course it's going to say that. It's not going to say, no, we're just going to come to Australia for 5 years and make a quick buck, then get out of there. But yes, that is a good question, and it's a risk if you buy something like this. It is a new brand, so you don't have that full support, even parts and all that sort of thing, supplies. But it all comes back to that price, I think. You're paying such a low price for this that I think it can get away with that. Yeah, I think on first impressions, it's not far off from being a reasonable vehicle. Get some further calibration for the safety systems, as per many of the rivals actually. Fix up the touchscreen so it's a bit less fiddly, I think, like some of these smaller buttons, and perhaps put a home button separate from the screen, like an iPad or something like that, because there are some menus here where the home button disappears and that sort of main menu disappears, and it's just a bit fiddly hitting the little arrow or whatever. And then yeah, retune the front dampers so it's not quite as sort of soft and lazy. I think it would be a decent little package. Look, if you're going to buy this and you're planning to keep it for 10 or 15 years, then I would be a bit hesitant because of the dealer network and all that sort of thing. It's only been around for a short period, so I don't fully trust the sort of after sales side of things. But if you own your own business, you're a trade or something like that, you just want to run around, you're going to kind of thrash it and beat it about a little bit. Well, not really thrash it, but you know, just, it's a work vehicle. You're only planning to keep it for 5 years or something like that. This has got 7 years warranty, so it'll easily cover that. Then this is, you know, could be a good option because it is so cheap to start with. Resale value is not going to be good, but again, if you're only planning to keep it for 5 years, you don't really care, you're going to trash it anyway, then you're not going to care about the resale value as much. Although in saying that, my mind still tells me I would just buy a Hilux, because even when I do trash it and beat it up, and it's got 500,000 kilometers on it, you still get a decent amount of money back for it, which is weird. I know it's not quite right, but that's the way it is. Whereas something like this with 400,000 kilometers on it, a bit beat up, it's not going to be worth much at all. All right, let's head out now to the hill climb and see how it does off-roading. All right, here we are, the hill climb. Now, I've said this before, and I'll say it again just in case you haven't seen my videos before. This is very steep. It's got a lot of bumps and moguls and so on it. It really puts the tires under stress, the drive system under stress, and the suspension flex, because you want to keep those tires firmly planted on the ground. So we'll take on this little first line here, which is where I go over to the right up the middle, and then we'll go over to that right hand side, which is more about suspension flex. To start with, I'm going to put it in 4H as I usually do. Now this is not, you know, typically recommended for a steep climb like this, but I've been doing it with every ute, and some utes have got up here in 4H. So I'm going to do it in this. I'm a little bit worried because I saw a video review by drive.com.au where Sam was reversing up a pretty technical section, and the front, I don't know about the specifics, but the front drive shaft popped out or something happened where there was no longer drive being sent to the front axle. So I'm a little bit worried, and this is again that sort of trust thing. Do you trust what's going on under here? Now, JAC has been around for a while in China, so this is not a brand new vehicle, so it should have some experience. But anyway, I've tried it in 4H because I've done it in all the rivals, and there's been no sort of issue. It either gets up there or it doesn't. The stability control is just turned off, or it's gone into its own mode. By the way, I forgot to mention that the steering column, you can't pull it out. It's only up and down, and it's only a short amount of adjustment there. I don't know why Chinese vehicles typically do that. Why can't they have a pull-out steering? Now, just because I say Chinese, I'm not trying to be tricky or anything like that. I'd say that about a German car or an Italian car. This is a Chinese vehicle, so get over it, basically. But yeah, it'd be good to be able to pull this steering wheel out a little bit closer. Let's go. I haven't touched the tire pressures. They're just at the standard pressures when I picked it up, the road pressures, and I'm not going to put it in the rear diff lock yet. And as I said, that stability control has gone into its own mode. So 4H, the wheels are going to be spinning fast, or you know, you want them to slow down, so you need low range. But let's just see. Yeah, spinning away. I'll just give it one more attempt, roll back a little bit. So the stability light is flashing, so it's doing something, but not enough to get us up this anyway. Okay, I'll put it in low range, just put it in neutral, allow it to go in. Okay, something went clunk, and now it's got a symbol for L. Let's go. Yeah, straight away we've got a lot more torque with low range. I was about to say, look at that, it's going straight up, but it's got to a point where there's too much flex happening. Hopefully that sun's not right in your face. That's in my eyes, anyway. Yeah, that's not going any further. The stability control is trying to sort things out, but it's letting away too much wheel spin. So I'll probably have to lock the differential. I'm just going to give it one more go. Give it a bit more speed. Yep. So that's done reasonably well. Again, considering that's got highway terrain tyres, I think it's not too bad. You just got to yeah, use a little bit of speed, which is usually a sign that your tyres have run out of grip. But 4 low is what's needed to get up there, and it did eventually get up, so that is a good thing. Now we'll try it with the diff locked, and just to see how easy it can get up, and then we'll check out the right hand side or the left hand side from the top here. We'll just try out the hill descent control going back down. Gives you a bit of an idea of how steep this is. You can see the tree line and whatever. You can also see the bumps and pretty aggressive terrain. Hit the hill descent control button. Get a little symbol on the dashboard. It's always a bit nerve-wracking tipping it over the edge. As I said, it might not look steep on camera, but it is definitely about as steep as I would want to take on, especially in my personal car. So it's feet off the pedals, it's catching me, but going a little bit too quick. Yeah, that wasn't the most refined. It kind of rolled a fair bit and then caught me at the, well, not the last minute, but it, yeah, it sort of hesitated and then slowed things down. Alright, now we'll hit the rear diff lock. Might as well put it back in neutral for a second. Little symbol on the dash, rear diff locked. does seem to have very low gearing as well, actually. Like it's already in second gear. I might just keep that in first. Just ease it up. Front wheel spun a little bit then. Back wheel spinning, both of them. But it's clawing its way up. No problem, it hasn't scrubbed out or anything either. So down here, it drops away fairly suddenly. It might not look like it on camera, but we'll get the back left wheel popped into the air, and the side step is going to get very close. So we'll listen out to see if it scrubs. Yep, back wheel right in the air, and it didn't scrub the side step, so that is good. I have noticed the side steps do have these sort of brackets hanging down, a bit like the Isuzu D-Max Blade. It has these annoying brackets, but that didn't actually scrub them out, so that is good. All right, now this section, it probably will scrub the side steps, so we'll just have a listen. I'll be surprised if it doesn't. Yeah, scrubbed a little bit, not too much though. That's done really well, just climbs straight up there. I have noticed this does have a good turning circle in car parks and so on, but also when I'm coming up that little ledge, I've usually got to be careful that I don't scrub out or, you know, get close to the tree over there, but that's hooking around a very tight sort of radius. I was going to get out and have a quick chat as I usually do, but it's just too windy out there. You probably won't even hear what I'm talking about. I think that's done pretty good. Considering this is a low price, you know, new entrant to this market, it's climbed up there, and this is a very challenging bit of terrain in my opinion. For a standard vehicle, like I've seen some guys out here in modified Hiluxes and stuff from, you know, old models, and they're struggling to get up. Like it just doesn't have the technology to get on top of wheel spin. I think the stability control, the traction control system here isn't advanced enough to, you know, have sort of rock mode, rock crawl or whatever, mud, mountain mode, or anything, all that sort of stuff, because it just let away too much wheel spin. It's good that it let the wheels spin, unlike, you know, some models like the BYD Shark that just totally restrict drive to the point where you can no longer progress anymore. It lets the wheels spin, which is good, but yeah, just can't get on top of it. But put it into low range and, well, especially in low range, hit the diff lock, and it crawled up there very, very well, considering this has highway terrain tires. It snagged the side step a little bit on the left-hand track over there. They are pretty steep moguls, or whatever you want to call them, ruts. And a lot of the rivals do sort of just touch out the bracket or something underneath. But it didn't slow the vehicle down. It wasn't to the point where it was like totally beaching itself and not able to continue moving. It just snagged probably that little bracket that hangs down. But it is good you got this surround view camera as well, which is not common even on the pricier rivals, so you can keep an eye on where you are. It doesn't have see-through mode or anything like that I can tell, but you can change around to the side view. It's not very clear, like it's a bit pixelated, and it kind of seems like it's got fisheye going on, where that's kind of all blurry up there. But I mean, it'll give you an idea. If you were coming around a tight corner or something like that, and there was a big boulder sitting right there, you couldn't see it from behind the wheel, you could have that camera activated and go, oh yeah, my wheel's not going to hit that, or yep, be careful, reverse back, so you can clear it. It'd just be nice to have a transparent mode, I guess. All right, let's head out now and do the performance test and see what it goes like.